Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Siri Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Siri Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Sahaj Kure Name, Siri Kure Name.
Long deep breath, heart breath. Okay, now, first of all, as you know, there are things, how can I say, around all of these things are going to make even most everything will be not truth. Do you understand? That's what's happening now, and it's going to get worse. Okay, and first of all, we're going to have, what do you call that? It's not jumping breath, but
Heart pumping.
Say it again.
Heart pumping.
Yes.
So it's breath of fire and heart breath at the same time.
You got it. Okay, so that would be our first minute, and the 3 minutes for meditation with Papa Chan. Now, I'm going to tell you, for instance, I saw that when that airplane fell apart in Washington, D.C. And at that moment, then Agya Paul let me know to say that this airplane was not like real, how can I say, that the crash was a normal kind of crash. But she knew in there that it was done by, okay, so Agya Paul, what did you say about that? Do you remember that?
I said it was that I thought it was because the technology was hacked in the helicopter, and that it was, I thought it was intentional. Yes. And that the technology in the navigation technology in the helicopter was potentially hacked. It was
hacked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me, did you see that on the news, or how do you know this, or what makes you think this?
A news flash from Seoul.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, like the voting booths where,
Mhm.
anyway, they're investigating them being hacked. I mean, I think that's what came to me. But
Do you know
again,
why?
sorry.
If you ask Soul why this happened, do you have any answers why somebody would want to do that?
Um, I don't want to go out on a limb here. All I want to say is, if you know the crew of the helicopter, and you know their nationalities, whatever their connections are, um, you might come to the same conclusion.
Okay.
Okay, but she knew from her pure self, knew that. Okay. So, today we're going to listen from Baba City Chan, and you are going to know about truth, not necessarily by a certain situation, or could be that, but know that. How do you know truth? Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we would put on our message thing.
I just did it.
Oh, thank you.
Ta-da!
Okay, and did you put on there about knowing truth, how to know truth from Baba City Chan? Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
now begin with pumping, heart pumping, and for 1 minute, and begin that now. Now begin 3 minutes for your meditation for Baba City Chan to know how to know truth. and begin to breathe. And begin Agil Paul.
Babaji says that truth is from soul and the opposite is from everyday self. So to always follow soul, even if our perception, if it doesn't jive with our perception of what we think is true, to trust and believe in. Yeah, it's really important to believe in what we hear when we listen to soul. And yep. And let's see, soul, the idea of it, I think it was Jesus that said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, something like that. So in other words, the idea is truth is of a divine source, and it supersedes anything that we call with a little t and true false. It supersedes all of that we deal with on everyday self. So so truth is often a difficult pill to swallow, because he said, even if it doesn't jive with your perception of how you think things should be, know that that's everyday self jumping in, and not to push it away, but to welcome everyday self and go with everyday self to soul, and to the truth, and allow the truth to transform in its own time. It's not there. You see, it's not our time. It's Kairos, not Chronos. So it's like, so the truth will, yeah, pardon the phrase, set us free. The idea is that we are, right now, it's incumbent upon, that's all we have right now, is to listen to the truth from soul.
Mm-hmm.
That's our touchstone. That's my touchstone. That is absolutely imperative.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Well, that sounds good. Thank you, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, Gian Devi, we're happy to see you, dear.
And me too. Lots of traveling for me. Okay, I got truth is a gift. The navel center is activated when bringing in truth. Sense the light that comes through. Trust the light. That's it.
Okay, so say it again.
Truth is a gift. The navel center is activated when bringing in truth. Sense the light that comes through. Trust the light. Maybe trust is a big deal, huh?
Yeah, got it. Okay, so tell us some more.
Tell us more. I think we do know when we hear something. Maybe we don't know it articulately, I don't know how to say the word exactly, but there's a sense, a feeling, an intuition. There's all that about us. And then learning how to trust when it's a real thing. I think that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to trust it. And then knowing the activity centers. So I guess the navel center is activated. Now I'll have to know when I'm listening for truth. I'm going to have to feel my navel center.
Mm-hmm.
What happens with it?
So are you saying that the feel of truth is, you can feel that in your body?
Yeah, well, I'm reading here that there's that we are activated. I don't think we're just plain old humans. I think we are cells, energy centers. And it seems to me when I read that, I'm thinking somehow the navel center is an activation center. I would have said heart. I just would have said heart. Maybe it hits people all the way in a different area. Maybe you have more strength or more connection to the heart center. But that's just what I wrote. And I'm staying with it. I have no idea. But I can understand the navel center is very important. And then recognizing wherever the truth comes in, where idea, Paul, when you had that sense of truth, did you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it. Right. Yeah. All through my body.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially my legs. That's weird. They shake sometimes with the truth.
Yeah. Let's see. I think you can really feel it in different places. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I do see us as energy centers, much more than just, we underestimate our sensitivities or our power. And learning to trust that, or just even learning about it, gives you more power.
Right. Okay.
More sensitivity, I guess.
Say it again.
More sensitivity might be a better word for that than power.
Okay. You know, actually, we have known about predictions for this time because it was going to be liars and not truth, to know from Soul and Baba Siddhi Chand and so on. So here we go. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Gian Das Prem.
Satnam. So, how to know truth? And of course, Baba Siri Chand. There's a channel, right? There's certain channels that allow a vibration, a full vibration. So within that, there is a freedom of not having any rules and not having an ego, yet being in the vibration of truth, which by physical means should be the allowment of backup information. Through that, a lot of our learning is known, right? That we have inherent knowing, that we somehow come about here to learn our way with this planet. And there's a lot of letting go in that, acceptance to be in that love. And we have so many senses that allow that to be, that we're forming an opinion via an explanation that we then call into our truth. Or we can look within us, and the visual that I'm given is like climbing a tree, like climbing the biggest tree that I could find, and or getting to the top of it and looking down at everything, from above, from either a physical standpoint or emotional standpoint or mental, or however many bodies I want to pick out in myself. And then, where is the balance there? There's some sort of harmony within all of this that allows me to be where I am, whether it's up in the tree or, down where I'm not able to climb the tree and I'm there's a lot going on there, right, in the tree. And there's a lot of keys, trees, there's tones that we go by, there's patterns that we have, you know, in our behavior and whatnot. And if we're practicing in this way of moving ourselves forward as a group from within our soul as a mirror to the other people that we're here with, because now we are billions of people. The billions of people, we're supposedly not growing anymore, but the learning that we're doing. So I think if there's any way that we can come together as a herd and be heard, you know, while we're learning from the learning that we're doing, and moving away from, you know, earning and having expectations of worth that doesn't relate to our worth or our vibration or our channel of information that's allowed to, you know, back to the radio waves again, and back to the traveling of information, how we're doing this today, and choosing our way to come together and communicate in some sort of a truth. And yeah, I mean, back to the gut of what's, you know, what are we doing? How are we taking it in? And the Nabi, you know, for me. So I've always been challenged with that, you know, with food and food addictions and whatnot. So, you know, we all have certain things that we have that we're working on. So this is the challenges for me, is to, and what I'm being told through sources to, and I know a few plants that I can notice and flowers that I can eat, just to know more of that, so that we can lessen our dependence on the stores and whatnot, and to see what we have within our homes that we can use without having to buy certain things, and just being careful about that. For my, you know, just my experience of coming into some sort of a balance, you know, in between that, you know, the tree and myself, and how am I being, you know, with all of this, that, you know, this shared information of us people and our ego, you know, coming down to that minimum point of being able to, you know, sit with our enemies as, you know, we would sit with our, you know, anybody else, that we have to come in there with this even way of thinking in order to come together with these other people that we're living with, because there are, be it that we are in a small country here in the United States of America. Excuse me. Yeah, so we have our ego and our opinion that we're going to have to deal with in that truth. So I think if we come back to, if I come back to my breath, and I myself can try to find that simple balance and be involved and use my voice for love and peace to come together as a group, then that's good, you know. And that's what we're trying to do, with the hope for the best of the other person, you know, regardless of what their convictions may be and how strengthful they are and how much power they have behind their convictions, for us to stay in our way of truth, that we, you know, knowing that we are, you know, part of that group that's out here as the billions of people. So we're part of the source that's creating this vibration and the truth that's going to allow us to keep moving freely, you know. And hopefully if we don't have that ability, then we can find a source for us, you know, to come together with people that we know and open up our truth in there. And Waheguru, thank you so much for this time.
Okay. South City.
Satnam, everyone. What I got was kind of surprising, so I'll just kind of do it as a to-do list. Soul said, set the goal to live in this space continually in your waking hours, because with that goal, it will be so much easier to grow and develop. So it's a state and a place of being that we don't just tune in and tune out, but carry that through our waking, sleeping hours. And in order to do that, got really clear
couple of just notes about how to organize life to live that way. And then number one is that sadhana sort of is like plugging in the plug in the light. And sadhana gives a lot of energy, whatever your sadhana is. Just that connection, that deliberate connection to soul is established early in the morning. And to practice throughout the day, and not just in circumstances. This is kind of funny. Not just in circumstances like challenges or wondering if somebody's lying or whatever, but like, which is the ripest melon to pick. So that was really interesting that it's a day long practice, and the more I practice, the better and clearer the channel will be. And consider connecting with like a pal and making it a fun kind of shared experience, or introducing it in a yoga class, which I'm going to be teaching soon nearby. So it helps to bring it into like a yoga class. It's a community forming, or touching base with people at the ashram, or in the sadhana there, something like that. So practice, practice, practice. How do you get to the truth? It's like Carnegie Hall, practice, practice, practice. Pass.
Great. Thank you, dear. Okay, so now Harimandir.
Okay. What I got, certainly listening is certainly on a, not just listening to the news or the speeches or whatever, but with people, listening and recognizing. The main thing is one of the ways we can recognize truth is through a feeling of shame, which is interesting. When you feel shame with something that has been said, that is a wonderful, what's the word? A way to access, not to go in and feel terrible and hide in a closet and that kind of thing, but it's the path to responsibility, and to then go out and correct what one has felt shame about, or acknowledge what it is that you've felt shame about. We, as Gian Prem mentioned, expectations of worth. And in our country, we have ego, we have opinions, we have entitlement, most of us, that is taught when we're talking about Caucasian people versus people of color or other cultures. And we can use our entitlement not to get ahead for ourselves, but to speak up for others. when I was first lobbying with one of my kids on my back, speaking it in hearings, because I had a husband, I had money. They didn't know I did. They just thought I was someone off the street with my baby on my back working for women's rights. But I could speak up because I wouldn't lose my job, or I wouldn't have, there wouldn't be consequences in my life that would be dire. And so I was speaking up for them. And in this time, speaking up, taking what we acknowledge is shameful, and maybe we feel it in our gut, maybe we feel it other places, but taking that into a responsibility to act on it. Guess that's the message.
Okay, thank you, dear. So you're finding, what can I call it? The other side instead of truth, but find the shame to find not good for shame for those problems or situations. Is that right?
Yes, shame is a bellwether that will take us to truth, that helps us acknowledge or see the truth. And then we can use that as to act upon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Can I go Siri Gian? Because mine just totally piggybacks on Harimandir. It feels like they just are a dovetail.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
well, my message from Bubba, I said, how do we get to truth? How do we know what is truth? And the first thing I heard was deeply listening, Sunye, and what Baba showed me and reminded me was to listen to the self, listen to our own breath and our own heart, and to really um, go inward. And then for truth, um, what I heard was that where to find it is to look within and find deep self-knowledge. So I went to yoga class this morning and I got there a little bit early and I was just laying on the mat sort of in this darkened room, and I had the experience of kind of seeing all of my really catastrophic failures in life and not having it be super heavy, just like, wow, those are all of the things that went completely south. And um, in Quaker meetings, we kind of call that holding it in the light. That's what I felt like was when I recognized it. I said, oh, well, let me hold this in the light as I'm being aware of these, catastrophic moments and the peril that I put myself in my life because of them. And and so I really just sort of held them in the light, and it felt so loving, and it felt like something that had been a point of shame was really being brought out of the shadows, and I felt like I was really being super kind and compassionate and loving to my shadow self. Like I recognized that these failures were associated with shadow self, with maybe a lot of what's the word? Self-sabotage. Um, and that's where I found the deep self-knowledge. That's what Baba was saying, was from the deep self-knowledge. And so then what I saw was that when we're in this place of deep self-knowledge, our own bodies will be listening to our breath and will be listening to our heart rate and will be in this place of deep self-knowledge, and our own bodies will be so connected with the universe around us through all of the mycelium and through all of our hairs and our nervous systems and just all of our brain and electrical systems and our aura will just know the truth because we are shedding light on those shadow selves. It's like to shed light on it is like if it was like a little stream that was turned off the water, but then when you shed light on it, all of a sudden it becomes flourishing again. So the light, what I saw was that the light comes totally from within, that we bring the light, and that then also when we go out in the world and interact with other people, we can spark the light in them and we can bring the truth because we're bringing the truth. So we are the bringer of light. We are light carriers and we are truth tellers. And then what I found from Baba was also that truth tellers can be black sheeped, like they can be, I what he showed me was that truth is sometimes inconvenient, and that um, a lot of suffering is built on uh, something being one way and people behaving as though it's another way. It's a particular samskara, and that's like a major cause of suffering, and that truth tellers uh, are basically showing like, whoa, the emperor has no clothes or something. Um, and they really they really get a lot of flack for it sometimes. And yeah. And so Baba didn't show me how to use the truth. Baba only showed me that the truth really comes from within. I didn't have enough time, but I felt like it just dovetails so perfectly with Harimandir's message right there about shame, because it was just that it was the shame it was like converting. That was the alchemy of converting these moments that could have been catastrophic failures into moments that were really bringers of light. And that's what I've told you guys about it before, but the monks who meditate a lot, when their cremains are found, they have these little pearls that are inside of them that have come like from their gallbladder. And that's what happens when they alchemize the negative emotions. Like shame has a hormone attached to it. Shame has an energy signature. And to alchemize it, it basically takes that acid and turns it basic, and it creates this little nacreous pearly crystally thing. And that is the bringer. That was what I saw was with the light with Baba, was that like those little crystals and pearls happening inside of us also reflect the atmosphere outside of us. That it affects not only our immediate electromagnetic field, but like much bigger. So somebody who's carrying around a tremendous amount of unresolved shame that they're still really shameful of is carrying like a very heavy burden with them, and it's just so much lighter to be the bringer of light, but also truth is inconvenient and it sometimes makes waves. I think that was my message.
Okay, this was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, because again, with what do you call them? Predictions,
Mm-hmm.
and you all have actually seen that from Baba Siddhi-chan before, to say that in this age of Aquarius is changing all of those nasty things within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what you're talking about, what Japa Saraswati is talking about, that our shame and nasty stuff and are changing. So
Mm-hmm.
let them be different. Let them change.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. And also, I think in that same way, I believe that the uh, uh, epigenetic genes are
Oh,
also being changed.
yes, they are.
Mhm.
Yes, they are.
Yes, because uh, I I I asked Soul the other day about all of my problems, no physical problems thing, and Soul said it's because of my ancestors, and that's epigenic. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, okay. So what you were talking about is changing. So my crappy, difficult thing are being changed, which I'm very happy to hear about that.
Mm.
Okay, it might be about me, but about my descendants also. That would be the most important thing.
Mm.
Descendants. Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
say it again.
I said thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Okay, Dave Bachchan.
Satnam.
Satnam.
Um, Baba was showing me truth as a frequency or vibration, but that truth resonates. So in the vessel of the body, when we have a drop-in of truth, whether that's from our soul, somebody else's soul, being in connection with anything that, like something in nature, or someone that's speaking from their heart, the truth resonates through our chamber, like a bell would, or like when you hit the gong. So it moves the cells, the bones, the blood, and it comes with movement, whether that's like a movement of emotion or a movement of more breath. And he was also sharing that it's a relaxation, and like the response is relaxation, at least initially, the place within our being that knows that we're receiving truth, there's an initial like freedom of space, and yeah, it moves through as motion. There's a release with it, like a release and a clearing, whereas like something that's not true, there's like, at least in my experience, it feels like stagnation, or almost like a pushing out or away or stuckness. What else? Oh, the mind is not involved in the truth, so there's like an understanding, but we may not know necessarily how we know it. But there's also not this need to defend it or protect against it, or there's not much around it. Like it comes in as clear. I'm just sort of scanning my notes. Truth is love. Clear the channel so it can flow in. It is a shared understanding at the deepest level. It stands on its own. So yeah, I think that was about it. Hope it makes sense.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Didn't we have oh, there's Salt City.
I think it's Sahaj. I think Sahaj is next.
Okay. Did we already give Salt City?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. She was wonderful.
Oh, good. Okay. Good. Sahaj.
Satnam, this has been a wonderful day for me. It's the clearest I've felt in months, and I'm so grateful for that. It's very interesting. I asked for the right words or the clearest words because I was reminded, well, you're a verbal processor and it's you don't always know until you say it out loud. I said, yeah, so please make sure that I have the right words. And what I was shown was, when I tuned into it, it was like, well, you were just given a little play at the beginning of this call. And it was a communication between two people, but it might as well have been in the space of one mind, which was someone was asked to repeat what they had said, a truth that they had understood. And she said it simply, here's what I saw. And then someone else said, well, how do you know that? Or something similar to that. And at that time, I had a very physical reaction to that inquiry. And then there was another question, something else. Well, can you go and ask? And what I was shown was that first statement was, okay, this is how it comes through, similar to what Fade Butchin just said. Like, it's there. It's what it is. It's by itself. It's clear. There's not. I can't remember exactly but that part resonated with me, and that the next part is the representation of what our minds will do, because sometimes we'll have that clarity, we'll have that information, that's that truth that comes through solid, clear on its own. It's a knowing, it's in our body, but the mind wants to get involved and say, how do you know that? Are you sure? Like, what sources did you check? Does anybody else agree with you? There's this whole thing that happens with the mind that can destabilize our knowing if we, well, it depends on a lot of things. We're like, we're humans, and a lot of things can affect our sensory systems and our self-confidence and our mental stability. So we have to, I remember this, my sister said this to me once a long, long time ago, and it's some kind of a Bible verse about God guarding your heart and your mental powers. And I would say guarding my heart and my intuitive awareness, this is why we're here together, to drop into the practices that we have that will allow that knowing to come through loud and clear. And even when our mind jumps in, as our mind will do, we can still distinguish with clarity what that is. And someone, somewhere in here, someone was also speaking about like sticking with that truth, even though when we know it, when it's our clear knowing, even if it seems to be contradicted by other things around it, that when we know, and that's what we stick with. And there's so much in our environment that's already pushing us to question everything, which is part of what this whole campaign is right now. Is it's not even like politically, it's not even these people pushing their political agenda. How do I want to say this? I'm trying not to ramble here. We here in America, and it's being experienced by people all over the world, but we are being assaulted deliberately to make us question everything, to destabilize people to the point where everything that's coming at them is so outrageous. It's such obvious lies. Yet people are behaving as though that's not the case. It's like being on a wild, runaway horse. We're just hanging on for dear life. Some people through denial, some people through anger. We're all having our reaction, but the thing is, this is a deliberate campaign to destabilize everybody, to not know what's true or what's real. And that's why we've all been practicing for however long we've been doing it, because we knew this was coming. We were told decades ago this time was coming, and that we needed to practice to be in ourselves. Words aren't, I wish I had better words right now, but like for me, I know what the signals are in me, in my body, when I feel something or I'm being told something. Like I'm driving down the road with an intention to go somewhere, and I suddenly feel like, oh, it would just feel so good in my whole being if I just turned left here, And so I pay attention to that, even though it makes no logical sense. And I'll take the left turn, and then I'll get another piece of information. Oh, this is where you're actually going. Oh, okay, this is where we're going. That's interesting. Why are we going here? I don't know. And then we get there, and then we find out. It's so for me, I know that. I know what that feels like. And that's easy to follow when our senses aren't being assaulted. And while fear isn't being triggered, or in my present state where I'm so engulfed in grief that very little else matters to me. And it's very hard to get into that space where I'm clear enough to hear. And that's why we were given the tools to practice. And thank God for this space and this call, and Siri, Gian, for you holding this space for so long. Because now we have these tools that are so simple. We have heart breath, and we have the heart pumping breath. And when I was able to actually do that this morning, it had the transformative capacity for me in this moment that doing a full sadhana used to have. And I remember, I think I said this last week, I don't remember whether it was in a Satnam Rasayan class or where I heard it, but whoever was leading the lecture or the class was saying, we're going to be in this time where people will be just coming to us in droves for healing, and there won't be time to do. It probably was Satnam Rasayan, now that I think about it. That would make sense in that context, that all we're going to have time to do is like put our hand on them and say, hail, hail, Guru Ram Das, and heal the world. And we're there. We're there today. And now we have this simple tool to get us into the places that we practiced getting into. And in the beginning it was hard and it was long. And I mean, I don't know what people's experiences are. That's for me, I guess. There were a lot of things and time and practices to do. But once I got into the space, I knew what the space was. And it's not how you get there, it's that you get there. And that's where you can feel the truth. Wow, that was a long way around, but I hope that scans. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but that was good. Okay, wait a minute.
Can I just respond, or do we not have time?
Yeah, go ahead. Who is that?
Agipal?
Sure.
Yeah, so it was great listening just now to Sahaj. So what this has done for me is helped me tie together a lot of stuff. Epigenetics, Sunia, and shame, and being led, which she was just talking about. You know, the Sunya Dukkha Papa Kanas, which in Japji is absorption in the holy and teaching and sin and so forth. And it's
what is
sorry?
Say Sunya? What is that?
Yeah, Sunya Dukkha Papa Kanas. As we deeply listen, this is what Japa Saraswati was saying. The holy teachings, we listen deeply. That literally it's sin vanishes. So we sort of cleanse, I guess we cleanse ourselves, we cleanse our hearts so we can absorb the truth. We can and for me, shame is a big deal lately. I've been open, my eyes have been open, my heart's been opened to what we have done, and me personally, and what we all have done to other people that it's just coming to consciousness now. So, and so because epigenetically we've, it's been passed down, cultural beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is a time, just to quickly say, listening to the holy teachings. So for me, this is bringing me back. I don't really say Japji or recite Japji in the morning, but I'm going to do that now. And the Sunni Puris are very important to us and to me. And and I want to just say I appreciate so much this group for bringing out all these different aspects that seem to be coming together for me, and to heal the shame, to first recognize what has been the case, and recognize how that is so antithetical to the truth. I mean, it's just awful. And now, just to allow myself to absorb the holy teachings so that I can be clearer and in all my energy, in all my energy centers. Thank you.
Thank you. And wait a minute, one more thing. Can you talk about Sunya with Japji? What is that?
Yeah, in Japji, that's the prayer, right? And Sikh prayer, and Ekonkar Satnam, Kartapurak Nirbo, all of that, the whole thing. I don't really haven't really recited it in my sadhana in a long time. And now I'm actually realizing the absolute importance of the Sunni Puris part of Japji. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing much more of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I briefly interject? I just want to let folks know that there is a Japji app that's free. And
Great.
you can choose between a couple of different voices, one of which I think is Sonata. And it's read at different speeds, and you also have the transliteration with it. So just go into your app store and type in Japji, Japji, and it's lovely.
Sweet,
Good.
thank you.
Cool.
I go with Guru Raj to see all of those things. And I put them on Spotify and find that.
I just put a link for Guru Raj's Japji in English from YouTube. It's in the chat. That's my favorite version
Thank you.
myself. It's so nice. Her poetry is so elegant, and I understand it's a really good translation as well.
And what was the other one?
Oh, that I understand it's a very good translation.
Yes.
That her translating is very sensitive.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. You know, I have found also if I'm kind of dokey or not feeling right, I use Japji, and wow, that changes everything. Thank you so much. Okay. So it was so good to see all of you. Okay, so who is going to lead our song? Maybe Gian Devi.
I think I'm losing my power, so I might have to just call y'all back. I'm looking for a plug right now. Someone else, hurry.
I'll start, and you carry on as best you can with us, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on.
Inhale. Sahaj. God bless you. And stay with love and truth. See you. God bless you.
Satnam. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Sanam, everybody.
Satnam.